years. So it'll be 25 years in January. This is Gay Tahanchuk and Chris Elliott. Gay has been in our, well, both have been in our church since we got here. They're legend people. Gay and her husband were elders, and Gay is still an elder in our church and in the office a couple of days a week. Does a lot of marriage and family counseling for our church. Pastor Chris is our children's pastor. When we arrived here, Chris was our children's pastor. I got to tell you a little story because we moved and our kids were 10, 8, and 5, and the children's pastor in Sydney was a guy called Pastor Mickey, and his name was Michael, but he went by Mickey, and our kids were they adored Pastor Mickey, and it was, how will we ever find another children's pastor like Pastor Mickey, until we arrived here, and Pastor Chris walked out in camo, a camouflage, camo outfit, and was doing science experiments and blowing things up, and our kids were like, Pastor Mickey who? Who's with you? For real. For real. And Josh is up the back, our son Josh, who's now 32. He was 8 years old then. And he told our staff at a staff retreat a few years ago, Chris, you were my very first friend. Yeah, as a children's pastor. That's kind of special. So both of them, let me just kind of talk about what they've walked through. Chris was married. He is married now, but he was married and walked through a divorce that was not pretty, but he is an incredible man of God, and so we have walked beside him through that, and then he met his beautiful wife Christy, and they now have a little 5-year-old, right, or 6? She's 7.
Yeah, she's asking for the car keys already.
That's right. She's a year ahead. Yes, first grade, going into second grade. Can't keep up with it all. And so, Chris, we're just blessed and blown away by you. Gay Tahanchuk, Gay and her husband Bill, again, were elders on our team. And then Bill walked through a cancer journey and passed away 12 years ago. That's right. And so Gay has walked through the journey of grief. And now she lives with her son and daughter-in-law and children. She has her own little attached mother-in-law suite. But again, she's doing the journey with a family in that regard too. So if any of you we got some great experience here of all different kinds of families. But I thought first up, we kind of slated today, it's on marriage and family, but talking a little bit about the digital world with not just our kids. I think we think, oh gosh, the digital world for our kids. But honestly, the digital world for us is,
it's not fair.
It's big and overwhelming. And you know what, these things, who freaks out when they can't find their phone? Like we are in some ways more attached to this than we are the people we love the most. And so that's the scary thing about this. But Chris was telling me about some great resource for kids. Jessica, go ahead, Chris.
In Wave Kids on Sundays, I'll often tell the kids, hey, guys, just because it's on YouTube Kids doesn't mean it's safe. So we say that a lot. And on a number of occasions, I'll let my little girl watch some YouTube Kids stuff, but there's only 1 or 2 families that she'll watch because they talk about, we're going to church today or, whatever. And, oh, great, but occasionally one will slip in there. And I don't like my little girl watching a device much at all, but definitely not unattended, right, because you just don't know what will slip in. If she is going to watch my phone unattended, it's going to be Saddleback Kids, Church at Home. They actually, during COVID, did all their children's ministry remote. So they have videos that are hilarious. They're better than anything.
Okay, so how do you find that? How do you find Saddleback Kids?
You just look up, go to YouTube. Go to YouTube, not YouTube Kids. It'd be YouTube, Saddleback, Church at Home. And they have all kinds of a series. Also, Willie George with Church on the Move, Kids on the Move. Kids on the Move has some great Bible stories. But then there's an app that I found, and it's called Sensible. Has anyone ever heard of that? I know I'm not the only one. I'm not that bright. But Sensible, it's welcome to Sensical, the free streaming service for kids inspired by common sense media. So there's different things on there. There's just there if you look up, if you Google alternatives, safe alternatives to YouTube, safe alternatives to YouTube Kids, there are resources out there that you just feel more safe with. I don't know if y'all know. I was watching History Channel, Discovery Channel, some little penguins dancing around. The next thing you know, there's all this stuff, and Parker is looking at me. I'm like, Parker, eyes on me. All good, little girl. And we have some cues, and I think it's trust. Whenever Parker shows that I can trust her, I make a big thing of it. We went to Target to buy some stuff for the Bobo Buck store the other day, and she wanted a bunch of things from Target. And I said, Parker, if you show me I can trust you, I will surprise you with something good. So she obeyed, and Christy took her to Melting Pot later the night. So I think kids, when they know there's a reward in it for them to be trustworthy, you know, so we have some keys. Parker, how about we turn that off right now? How about we do something else? So teaching them from a young age to redirect, I think, is huge.
Awesome. Gay, thoughts on the digital world?
Okay, Chris, if I get rewarded because I'm trustworthy at Melting Pot, I'm very trustworthy. I just want you to know that. I just want you to know that. I will go anytime, I will tell you. I am so foreign to a lot of this, but I also know what it has done in the world of children. You're seeing children now that have a lot of screen time. It's not interactive. We see children in I was a classroom teacher for 35 years. We see kids now that have a hard time socializing. They can't cooperate. They're very impatient. You know, if Wi-Fi's down, forget it. You know, what are you going to do? They're not creative enough to think of things to do, but say, I'm bored. And it has to be this little jumpy thing that makes them so excited. It's all well and good. It's great for reinforcement. We use it in some of our schools, and I know that. But when they come home, they need some activity. They need some activity. They need some talk time. I know. I'm old, and that screen is a great babysitter. But what is it costing? What is it costing you? And I have some stats here, and I don't want to be doom and gloom because that's not me, but they're saying that 8 to 10-year-olds are 6 hours. This is in plus school. Their school a day, 6 hours they're on some type of screen time. They did a big survey. 11 to 14, 9 hours. That's including phones and everything. That's a lot of time. And 15 to 18-year-olds, I think they must have gotten this one wrong, 7.5 hours. But that's still a lot of time. That doesn't include what they do at school, which they have screen time at school. They're doing a lot with the computers, and rightfully so. They do need to know about a computer. Our teenagers get involved in areas, if you think things pop up with Parker, whatever these teenagers are searching, we get things in there that shouldn't be. I mean, I even searched things and found some stuff. My husband had prostate cancer. And so when I researched that, you know, they follow what I research. And I got some stuff on there. I thought, oh my goodness, I'm embarrassed, and nobody else was around to see me turn red. But, you know, those type of things, whatever. And we, you know, careful what our little ones, our teenagers bring into their spirits. When we start hearing them being really cranky, resentful, not sleeping well at night, behavior problems. They have games. Yeah, they're fun. But they're doing a lot of things that maybe they could do outside. Get some activity. Get them into some sports. Start thinking of some things that they like. to do outside. Have some family time communication. Eat dinner together. Okay, that's kind of a lost art. We usually watch in front of the TV or we grab and go. But one meal a day or maybe a couple times a week, I know busy schedule, especially if they're in sports, have that time where they sit down, realize that eating is done at a table. It is done with adults around. It is done with brothers and sisters around, and let them know. Parents, these are just my personal, I'm just speaking from my heart, what I have seen. And
you also taught, you may have said this and I missed
Yeah.
it. You taught for how
35 years.
35 years.
35
and
years.
What grades?
I taught kindergarten through 5th grade.
Right.
And various things. But parents, you have a right to see what they're viewing on their phone. You pay the bill. I'm sorry, I sound old-fashioned, but you need to view what they're, because they get into all sorts of things. There are things that drug deals go down on. I'm sounding really morbid. But I'm just trying to tell you the reality. Some of you may have already discovered it. Or some of you don't have children yet. Some of you have little ones, and what they see are so cute on there. But limit it. Limit it. You know, give them a boundary there. You use a boundary. I'm sorry, I've gotten attached to my cell phone. I can't stop looking at it, and I really have to break myself. That's a habit I do not want to form. Yeah. But go to some healthy sites. Take the screen down all the time. Don't have them at dinner, unless that's your job. If you're a doctor, I guess you have to do that, don't you? But be cautious. Be careful, little eyes, what you see. I mean, it's an old song, but there's a Father up above looking down in tender love. Be careful, little eyes, what you see. And we are those parents that are still parents, and I'm responsible. God will hold me accountable for what I've allowed my children to do and what they've gotten into. So we can't stop everything, but we can sure try. And make home fun. Make it fun. Okay? Laugh a little. Laugh a little. Maybe that you'll be more fun than the YouTube. Do you know what sometimes they watch on YouTube? Then I'll stop. Okay? The other day, I'm going to tell Nikki, I'm sorry, my daughter-in-law and granddaughter are here. I'm so sorry. But one of my granddaughters was watching people on YouTube pack a suitcase. I said, sweetie, you just packed your own suitcase and went to Florida. Why do you want to watch another family? And you did just that. Oh, but they're doing it. I go, yeah, but that seems like a waste of time. Nobody wants to watch them pack their suitcase. But they do.
I know. You know, it's so interesting because we're bombarded with this stuff. And, you know, this morning I went for a walk around our neighborhood. It was probably about 6:45. And typically I would go and listen to a podcast or something. And I just thought, you know what? I'm just going to walk today. Well, it's like, wow, listen to the birds. Like we're missing so much. I'm like, oh, wow, look at the birds are up. You know, missing so much of what's going on around us because sometimes I think, I wonder what would happen if people who lived 50 to 100 years ago came and saw us like this, because this thing is ripping us off of our life. So I think I've just written down a couple of things for, not just for kids. I actually think as parents and adults, we have to be better. If we want our kids to be better, then we have to own this stuff too. So first thing, not at dinner table or family times. And you know what? The Kellys are not good. We're definitely getting better, but we're so not good. A couple of years ago, Josh's wife, Brooke, bought me for Christmas. It was like this little cage. It was called a cell phone cage, and it was every time you have a meal, everybody puts their cell phone in this cage and lock it.
How cute.
Yeah. And because she's like, you guys are always on your phone. I'm like, oh, yeah, we are. And so then I bought this game that I forget the name of. But anyway, it was questions to ask because we've lost the art of even conversation. And so we did a staff retreat. Remember we did that at staff retreat where we were asking questions like, when's the last time you laughed the loudest? I want you to think about it, even now for you. When's the last time you laughed the loudest that you can think of? Like hilariously laughing. It's like, oh, I don't know. Maybe it was yesterday for some of you. But for a lot of people, you have to really think about this, or something that you are proud of this past year, and it just triggers conversation. And the people that made the game were Scandinavian I think they were young adults, and they noticed that when people went out, they were like this. And so they wanted to trigger conversation, which is what we need. Steve said this as he was drugged up: covenant with your eyes. Just watch, make a covenant with your eyes. You know, was it David who said, "I will not"? What did he say, Chris? I will not. Yeah. Just I'm gonna be smart with what your eyes see. No computers in kids' rooms or cell phones. I know that's really hard when you've got adolescents. What do you call them? Teenagers. Teenagers. We did not do this. If I had my time over again, I would take kids' phones off them at nighttime. Nothing good happens with kids texting at nighttime, late at night. Number 5, anyone can look at my phone. Husband, wife, grab your kids' phones. We've got to be good at that. Limit time on social media and kids too. Again, we're going to talk about parenting next week and talk about what does that look like with social media. I think my kids are thinking for their kids. Again, when we were raising kids, Instagram, I think, came out when Alyssa was about to get married. You know what I mean? Like, well, our kids were grown. So I understand that for a lot of you, you're facing this with, you've got itty bitty kids going, what in the world? I will say to you, parents, you're in the driver's seat. You're in the driver's seat. You're in the driver's seat. Okay? Don't abdicate the driver's seat. Don't let your kids get in there. No, they're in the back seat. Maybe they're in the passenger seat. Maybe. But you are in the driver's seat. They're not going to like it. It's going to be tough love. And again, these things are addictive. So you try and take something off an addict, right? It's going to be hard. But I think my kids are thinking that no social media for their kids till they're over 18. And I think that's smart. And again, watching what happens, not just to kids when they watch video games or a lot of this stuff, but what happens to adults when they're watching it. So again, if we want our families to follow a path, we have to lead that path. Kids aren't going to do what you say. They're going to do what you do. Yes, I promise you. Kids must hand in cell phones. And then Steve said this. He said, what you repeatedly hear, you eventually believe. So which voice is going to be more dominant in your life when it comes to media, social media, culture? Is God's voice louder? And sometimes that's, you know, this morning I did a little workout after I walked, and so I just had the audio Bible on and just walking through the book of Psalms. And it's amazing what you hear when someone reads it to you, and I just encourage you. So a couple of things to think about. Do you share pictures of your kids online? Most of us do, but I want you to think about, be careful. Just be careful. And yeah, so that's kind of it. Anything else you wanted to add about digital?
I also, I'm the children's pastor, started in 94, so I've seen a lot of guys grow up in the church. So I have the benefit of hindsight when it comes to children's ministry. And a lot of the guys, I was their children's pastor, they're now bringing their kids in, and you kind of see patterns. And I think the families that had a clear identity of who their family was, we're the Elliots. And I remember you guys taught Josh and Sam and Alyssa family together for one another. It's just something you repeat, and you repeated that all the time. I think my job as a father is to guard the voices that come into my home, and I actually invite healthy voices into my home. So I'm watching, and even that's with my wife and I need to watch our friendships with other married couples. You get into season where you're just with your work friends or this. Stop, wait a minute, I haven't just hung out with another couple and just had a healthy time. And the other thing, now I'm running Regeneration on Tuesday nights, and I'm telling you what, there's a whole lot more of us that need to be there. We're all broken, just different. Right. We just gotta be honest. Just because you're a dad doesn't mean you have to be perfect. And for me, I want to be an example to my kids. I want to be an example to the men I lead or I pastor. I don't know the Apple ID to my own phone. If I want to download an app, I have to ask my wife to do it. It's just a principle. As soon as I got an iPhone, I talked to all these guys, and I'm like, brother, don't come to me with any more questions if I don't see you with a flip phone next time. Why do you still make it easy on yourself? I think we make it so hard to stay pure. How about make it easy? And now my daughter doesn't ever need to worry about, daddy's algorithm. My algorithm's pure, man. I got 4-wheel drives, It's simple, man. We all have different safeguards to put down. Think about what you can do to keep yourself pure, because I'll tell you what, there's nothing more powerful than being a guilt-free, shame-free father. Yeah. Man, it's the best feeling. It's the best. There's nothing like it. And honestly, I'm telling you, we all have our stuff, whether it's anxiety, whether it's stuff from, I was married before, and, my wife and I went through a very long custody battle with her ex, and so there was a lot of stuff to work through. I benefit from being at Regen, man. I'm going through Serenity Prayer. Anyone know that one? Best prayer in the world, not just part of it. But there's more of us that need to be there. Tuesday night, 7 p.m. We'd love to have. Yeah.
Shameless plug.
Shameless.
I love it, Chris. Just thinking about what you said about, dads and fathers, I was thinking about, Joe Riddle is one of the pastors on our team who just lost his wife. And he walked through the journey of, her with a brain tumor and taking care of her. And it was hard. But at her service, he got up and said, I kept my vows. I was committed. And I just thought, wow, Joe. So you can just walk onto this. It's still very, very hard what he's got to walk through, and grief is. But there's this sense of, Lord, I committed this on the day I got married, and I kept it. Thank you, God. And that's not easy. Promise you, it's very, very hard. But so I love what you were saying there, Chris. So maybe we'll jump into some of these questions, because again, we want to help answer questions, and we're going to try and do as many as we can. But first question tonight is, what advice do you have for the marriage that more resembles a business partnership? The perfect roommates, we get along and have fun, but there is no intimacy.
Good start.
Okay.
I would say, if you want to take all the money you have in the bank, anything that you have of any value, and just lose it, just go ahead and let your marriage die. It'll take everything you have. It'll take your guts. It'll take your emotion. It'll take everything. It's worth fighting for a happy marriage. Yeah. Take it from someone who's walked through that battle, and there's stuff you never quite get back. The truth is, it's not easy nor comfortable to walk away from a marriage. Period. So I would say, if it's a good start, if you get along and you have fun, I think it's kind of, if you do have that kind of a relationship, talking to someone that you can trust. We had Danny Holland just here. There are people that can give you simple tips. Like, there are seasons, I'm sorry, there are tough seasons in life. You'll be happy if your marriage is like a business and you get along and you're nice to each other. Christy and I, she went through multiple surgeries, custody battles, all that. Thank God our marriage for a little season looked like, we were like, hey, there's nothing in the tank. They say marriage is 100% or whatever. That's a lie. Sometimes I got 10.
Yeah.
Sorry, honey, I'm at 10% right now. She's like, okay, I guess I got to muster up the other 90, But it's just, you're committed to one another. And if you really are committed to one another, you're like, you know what? It's worth making it work. We ordered the date box. We just look for the cheap ones, Hey, go to the Taj Mahal, and ain't doing that one, Go to McDonald's and pretend it's your first date. We're doing that, But there are little tricks you can do to just spurt on and, just having conversation with people. Just keep it real, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I love
Just
that,
honest.
Chris. I love your honesty. Yeah, because sometimes when, and I know money's so tight. How do we make this fun? And you guys have really done that. Well done to you. So, Gay, what are your thoughts?
I'm not sure why you got married. If it's like a business, I'm so sorry. That is just my. You're going to think, get Danny and Jamie back.
Yes.
No. But sex is a very. I mean, they're missing the sex part, right? And sex is what joins you together, and you become one. And that bond that forms, there's nothing like it. And it's the most fun part. Some days when everything else seems to be awry and the sex is okay, I don't think I'm embarrassing any of you. I'm certainly not embarrassing me. Yeah. But but I do, that is an important part of a married life.
Yeah.
It's very important. And you can give up a little bit of other things, but the sex, you let that go too long and you're hurting and you're limping. It's that attachment that you have with that person that you have with no other person. I can laugh with a cousin. I can have fun with girlfriends, okay? I could do all that, but I'm not having sex with any of those, okay?
Right.
It's with the one I truly love, and that's what I want to do. I'm single right now because I'm a widow, okay? But that's what I would want to do if I were married. And I'm thinking, good night, Gertie, come on. Let's keep it happy. We Christians sometimes forget it's not a dirty word, sex. Beautiful. God made it. And he wants us to participate and have a lot of fun doing it. Make time for it. Make time for it. Okay? So I guess.
Yeah, to be honest, my wife broke her neck when she was in high school, and then she had some major surgeries on her leg. She had to have a spinal fusion, and so she's been through a number of surgeries, and she had some other stuff. So it's just like a lot of major surgeries, and there was a time it was difficult and it was awkward for us. So what we did was we had a journal. We bought a journal, and when she needed to communicate to me, she's better writing it out than she is talking. So she would put that journal on the coffee table next to my side of the bed, and I would read it. And then I would respond, and she'd have to take forever trying to read it because I'm dyslexic. Sorry about that, So I do my best, and then I would put it on her side of the bed. And what we would communicate would be, what would make it more comfortable for you? How do we bridge this gap? Right. And we were committed to each other that we would bridge it. And I needed to hear from her, what are some things I'm doing that are making you uncomfortable? And then I needed to tell her some things that she was doing that were making it difficult for me to approach that. And I think sometimes you can't say it face to face because it's awkward, but you can find a way. Sometimes I'll wake up at 6 a.m. and there's a text that she sent me at 3 a.m. because she was just working through something. Yeah. I make sure I read that before I get out of bed, and I acknowledge, hey, honey, I read your text. And I think just finding a way to communicate those difficult things, because you married each other for better or for worse. And the challenge is working through the worst, because the worst is going to happen. Yeah. That's enough. If you have a bed and you got toes, you're going to stub one. Yeah. That's just life, I just thought of that. That's good. But I have heard that wisdom is someone with a knot on their head telling you to duck. And I think, when you find some people that have been through it, that got some, hey, I ducked. There's a branch right there. What? Oh, hey, Gay, maybe you'll duck. You're so wise, But yeah, that kind of stuff.
I think, first of all, thank you for putting in the question if you're here or whatever. Yeah. Well done for doing that. You grew up in a family. That's what family is. Family is partnership, and we get on and we have a lot of laughs. Marriage is a commitment to one another. I know Steve talked about last week, the Bible says your body is not your own when you're married. Right. That's right. And so part of it is I will do this even though I don't feel like it or don't want to. And I promise you, as you begin to do that, again, there's a lot of things we don't want to do in life, right? Even following Christ, it's not my will, Lord, it's your will. That's really hard at times. Being married is really hard at times, but I realize it's not just about me. This isn't me, just me. It's I committed my life to you. That means, like we talked about last week, sexual needs get fulfilled in a marriage, intimacy. And, Revelation talks about, God says to one of the churches, this is what I have against you. You've lost your first love. Right. And I'll just say to you, what attracted you to that person in the first place? Go back to that. Yeah. Because I promise you, you'll find that place. There is hope, like Danny said. All right, are we good? All right, maybe we got time for another question. What are the questions you had? I don't know that I've got the... Let me pass the thing over. I got the wrong sheet. Okay. Right. Sometimes I feel resentful towards my husband because in my point of view, I feel that I bear the brunt of the majority of all of our responsibilities. I feel like we don't have an even balance on our shared responsibilities. How do I constructively get my husband to understand that sometimes I feel like I bear the brunt of all the stresses in our life and need more help?
That's a fair question, if you ask me, because I think there's times that's the reality. When my wife was recovering, I was getting, like right now, she has a very demanding job. She goes in early in the morning. She's out of there by 8. Sometimes she gets home at 6. So, how do I need to carry the slack in some areas. She's better at math. But, we all build with our strength. If my strength is availability, I'm going to offer that. So I think, once again, it's that honest communication. Christy and I have learned just having a conversation like at the dinner table or just at home, just a random, hey, I want to tell you something, never goes well. But if we go on a road trip, if we go on a date, if we're doing something that is fulfilling one of our love languages, we'll ahead of that date say, hey, I have a couple things I'd like to talk to you about in that environment. Would you bring 2 and I'll bring 2? And then I think in that environment, you're already laughing, it's fun, you're going for a walk at Waterside, may not even buy anything, but I thought a hot date would be to take her on the ferry from Waterside when she was pregnant. Okay. Not a good idea. There's no bathrooms. Didn't go well. So I brought none of my suggestions up on that one. So make sure the date is going well before you throw out there, by the way, I've been carrying a lot of the duties. But I do think that kind of stuff is real, and I think that's a fair question,
Okay.
I would have a conversation with my spouse and just say, I don't know if you've noticed, but we're kind of crazy around here right now. We're crazy busy, and I really need your help. And sometimes you have to say what that help is that you need. Yeah. Like I wouldn't have had my husband do the wash. No. But I would have had him do the vacuuming and things and just tell him what you need. Yeah. Is it a possibility? Specific. Yeah. And be specific. I learned that with your husband. You're specific, and you asked nicely. I said, is that okay? Can we work this out? And my husband was very good about seeing that I needed certain things. And he would say, I can help out this way. But just be real honest and just let them know I can use help here. And women, when you do it, please be appreciative. And they may not vacuum the way you wanted them to, but it's better than not getting vacuumed. That's what I learned.
Yeah, I think that's a big thing.
Yeah.
It's, are you cheering them on when they're helping?
Yeah.
Because that's how men are wired. And
That
think,
is.
well, why don't you just do it? Well,
Yeah.
they just like the respect of appreciation.
They do. And praise goes a long way.
Yeah.
It goes a long way.
But it's like what Danny was talking about. He had that couple.
Yeah.
And she said he never helps. And he's
Yeah.
like, oh, I did. I vacuumed 2 weeks ago.
That's exactly right. It's exactly right.
And so sometimes it's like,
Yeah.
again, it could be a conversation that you have another couple or a
Yeah.
pastor or someone just
Yeah.
weigh in to help navigate the journey. Because sometimes we're looking at it from two completely different
Right.
angles.
Can I just tell a quick story? My husband, when we first got married, we lived in an apartment, and I was working, going to school, and he was working, but he could come back and forth to the apartment, and he was so proud of himself. He came and met me at the car, and he says, "Listen, I cleaned the apartment today." I go, "Really?" I had envisioned all these things he had done. I said, "Did you do the dishes?" Because I didn't have a dishwasher. No. I put them in the sink. Okay. All right. That's good. Did you make the bed? Well, no. I knew we were going to sleep in it again tonight. Okay. I said it was very logical. So I didn't say anything. I'm not laughing. I thought this could be a moment that I could ruin this whole thing. Yeah. And then I said, "Well, did you get around to cleaning the bathroom?" No. Okay. How about vacuuming? Did you get to vacuum today? I didn't tell you where the vacuum was. No, I didn't vacuum. And so all within me wanted to say, "What the heck did you do?" But I did not. I did not. I said, "Honey, exactly what do I not need to do?" And he goes, "You don't need to pick up, because I picked up everything that needed to be picked up." I said, "You know what? Thank you." And he beamed. He stuck out his chest a little bit. And I thought, man, I didn't ruin that moment, because I sure could have. And show appreciation.
Yeah.
Other than, "What do you mean you didn't vacuum? You did nothing. You did nothing to clean up." But show appreciation. And then the next time, he became very good at certain things. He became a very good breakfast cooker. So
That is awesome. But that kind of just highlights what this question is. You know what I mean? It's like they think they're helping. We got to help them. We got to help. We're all helpers, right?
The exercises Jim and Kathy teach with preparing Rich about the window. Hey, may I put my order in? Windows closed. No orders right now. Because just having that it's just like, and honestly, preparing Rich, both prepare and Rich. My wife and I actually did the prepare twice because we wanted to make sure we did it right. We did not want to mess up this time, But some of the assertive listening, the active participating in your listening, the conflict resolution, there's some very simple, clear exercises you can get. The workbook for couples, it's really not rocket science. It's, hey, may I place my order? Sure. How about tomorrow at noon? When I'm not hangry. Okay. Brilliant,
Yeah, good. And that's all. We are all on the journey. It's never been easier in some ways to fall in love. That's the culture we're in. But it's tricky to stay in love because we think we we're in love and we should just be happy ever after. But I think we're realizing, and hopefully you're all realizing, that marriage is work for all of us, all of us. Like I loved that Dr. Danny said, the first 2 years, it's like, and then after that, work. And I think if you get that, you go, okay, I understand that part at least. I got to work now. But I want you to realize we're all on this journey together, building wonderful marriages and families that can be great. We are out of time, so we didn't get to a lot of questions. But again, next week we'll be kind of focusing a little bit more on parenting, but still talking about family. Thank you for being here. And again, like Dr. Danny said, there's great hope. I believe your marriage and your family can be great. Yes. Great. And your children. Some of you I know you're here and you've got little kids, and it feels very scary. And I just want to encourage you and go, you're in the driver's seat, and you're going to raise great kids. You are. And it means you've got to do it with your eyes wide open, and it's hard work raising kids and exhausting, but you will do it in Jesus' name. Amen. Gay, do you want to pray for us?
I do. Thank you, God, for this evening. God, thank you for all we've learned and all the people that were here. And God, I thank you for every couple that's represented. And I know that they will go away from this first session knowing a lot of things they didn't know before, but I also know that you're planting something inside of them, that they will see better their spouse and they'll communicate better. And God, I just pray that they know, may they go out and be encouraged. And anytime things get a little tough, they say, we can do this. We can do this. This is hope. Nothing is hopeless because they are being backed with prayer. And God, we back them with our prayers tonight. And may they go home and just have a good time together and laugh some and put those little kiddos to bed that need to go to bed. And we just pray for and thank you for this opportunity.